Many of the targets for cutting expenditures seem to fall on those programs that benefit the most vulnerable members of our community, with the potential to further escalate the social problems that may be associated. Can you identify other ways in which expenditures might be reduced that would avoid this penny-wise, pound-foolish approach? And Stanley, you're the, excuse me, I beg your pardon, I'm getting ahead of myself. Patrick Mara, you're first.
Sure, thanks. First of all, this is something that I mentioned today in the paper, but to a broader extent, I think we need to look at of the top earners in the DC government. We need to consider reducing their salaries, which would raise revenue. An arbitrary number would be $100,000. We should also consider we have over 30,000 employees, which is not comparable to other jurisdictions. For those that would say we should look at reducing those. For those that would say we have a city, county, et cetera, I mean, Rhode Island and Connecticut don't have county governments. There's no reason that we would have county government. So we should look at reducing the district workforce, over 50% of which works outside the district. Oh, okay. I didn't know I still had time.
Thank you. Now, Stanley, your question.
Okay. The question, as I understand it, is what would we do if we, in lieu of cutting social services? I'm someone who has spent a good portion of my adult life providing greater social services for people, and I don't want to see that happen. See cuts, significant cuts, because they do, in fact, prevent people from climbing the economic ladder. I want to look at people in upper levels and have them to contribute mightily, much more mightily, to saving the people at the bottom. We have a tax structure that deals in property taxes and drives people towards homelessness as they cannot pay real estate taxes. And I'm interested in having rates moved in a way that would allow people to stay in their homes and get their social services as required.
Let me just clarify. This question is about cutting expenditures. The first question was about potentially increasing taxes. This is about the other side of the coin. Okay? Mr. Page.
All right. I'm assuming the question is, what expenditures would I cut?
If you think that having the expenditures fall unduly on vulnerable poor people, then
Yes, sir.
what else can you recommend that we do?
All right. That's a fair question, very fair question. First thing we want to do is we want to carefully review across the board all fraud and waste and duplication of services across the district. For example, there are even some programs that I personally utilize and enjoy that may have to be cut. One of the things I've often spoke about is where we have parallel lines. Say, for instance, a parallel circulator line and a parallel Wamana line. We might have to look into whether or not ridership demands dictate that we can have both of those lines, or that we need both of those lines. We might have to reduce one or the other. There are other issues involved with district government waste, such as where district employees are inappropriately using district resources. We would have to crack down on that very heavily, things of that nature. We might also have to consider, if I can complete my sentence, we might also have to consider not increasing the budget for district agencies as much as we would like into the future.
Mr. Weaver.
I don't view these as mutually exclusive. I think that you have to look at both of these in sort of in tandem for sort of a holistic view of the overall budget. One of the things that I think we really have to look at is larger national corporations often hide their profits away from taxes by using places that have lower tax rates. So CVS, Starbucks, larger corporations are able to use District of Columbia laws essentially as a tax shelter and use rates from Delaware, Florida, places that have significantly less. That's one. Second, capital projects. We really seem to have spent a lot of money on capital projects. Oftentimes, they go beyond the needs of the district. One of the ones that I totally fought for in Ward 1 would be for Cardoza High School and some of its renovations. But if you look at the student population of Cardoza, you're down to under 700 students. So a lot of times I wonder if we're actually spending a lot of the capital expenditures on things that are appropriate for the current populations that are within those schools.